What's up, my people? You're in the place for Triple D Conversation. My name is Tristan Deves, and as usual, I have another combo for you. Now, before we get into today's video, I wanted to let you guys know that we are suffering. COVID is still going on, so make sure you're washing your hands, make sure you're wearing your masks and doing your bit for everybody else. Now, to begin with this deck format, I kind of wanted to let you guys know that I hate it. Just quite frankly, I hate the consistency of every other deck but DDDs. So, what I've decided to do, instead of focusing on the power of DDDs, is start focusing on that consistency. And how do we make DDDs more consistent? We add more DDs into the mix. So instead of just having one, we have two. Instead of having two, we have 3, 4, 5, 6. We just keep going. We have those DDDs. We get more of them. There is no point waiting on getting new cards. If we don't have the support, make the support from what we've already got. So what I've decided to do is this next combo, it's not pure DDDs, but it does focus on the key cards. So we have got ourselves our Copernicus, we have got ourselves our Gate, even our Ragnarok, our Necro Slimes, our Swirl Slimes, and our Lamias. We even have ourselves our cheeky little Keplers. Why? Because it adds the consistency, it adds that flavor. So we need to just keep adding more cards from DDDs to the profile to allow their effects to activate. Now, that being said, we do not need to make it solely DDDs. No, 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 no. We can do pretty much whatever we want to this deck profile as long as we keep within certain contingencies. And by that I mean we have to focus on what our combo is, what we need to do to it to keep it relatively the same. For, like, say you draw Effect Veiler, for example. You've got your Effect Veiler in hand, you have the ability to activate its effect, but you're gonna decide not to. Instead, you're keeping it for next turn for a normal summon. Well, why would you normal summon it? It's a light monster, it doesn't benefit you in any way. But as soon as you grab out something like a, let's say a Linkuriboh, boom, you've got it linked into something. Instantly you have yourself a Linkuriboh. You know, if you don't like Linkuriboh, you've got the option for a Relinquished Anima. You have the option to go into a Dark Monster so you can continue your PK variation of this deck. So from what I've gathered is that obviously you guys prefer just pure DDDs, and that's absolutely fine. But when you need things like hand traps that are allowed to be activated on your opponent's turn, might as well use them. So here's what I've done in this. I'm not going to show you the deck profile today. What instead I'm going to show you is just what I've added in terms of how many hand traps there are, how many monsters there are, and everything like that. So in terms of monsters, I believe there's 22 monsters in total, but there are also 6 hand traps, so making it 28, and then there are 12 spells. Now, I haven't added any traps to this deck. The reason being is because traps are slow. The ones I did want to add was stuff like Infinite Impermanence, but you could switch those out for said hand traps. However, the issue with Infinite Impermanence is it's not a monster and it can't be tributed for, or can't be linked off the field for something like a Linkuriboh or a Relinquished Anima. So, quite frankly, I didn't want to add Infinite Impermanence. I didn't want to add stuff like Red Reboot. Once again, it has the same kind of downset. You know, you're still taking the damage, you're still stopping your opponent from playing, but at the end of the day, they can still play their trap next turn. Sure, that could land in an OTK, but if you don't have the ability to get your combo on the field in the first place, which negates everything anyway, what is the point in even having a deck profile in the first place? So what I'm going to show you guys today is just a quick combo. It's not fully finished. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm waiting on one specific card, which is going to do some crazier amount of effect destruction, and it basically wipes your opponent's entire board once per turn, every turn. Now, that being said, there are other things you can move out of this deck. I do want to get my hands on a Dingseru, and the reason being is just because at the moment I'm actually running a Hope Harbinger. Now, this is a crazy negate on its own, and I absolutely love it. The other issue I wanted to cover today is the fact that when you're playing stuff like the Phantom Knights package, you end up, the only cards that you're realistically going to use, and I've seen people play Fogblades. Now, I have reason to believe they are idiots. You do not need to play Fogblade. It is a great stun, do not get me wrong. But if you're playing Fogblade, you have increased the rubbishness in your deck, the lack of consistency in your deck by an extra +1 for your extra PK monster, then maybe 2 Fog Blades. That's already increased your rubbish draw by an extra 3 cards. So not only do you not want to seek up these cards, but there's another 3 that you're not going to want to see. So the Phantom Knight's as good as it is, you want to keep it as small as possible. I'm having 2 rank up magic launches for the fact that I just love the idea of ranking up my Xyz monsters, and it is just my new favorite thing to do at the moment. But in terms of PK anyway, you want to limit this guy and you don't want to be using him straight away. You kind of want to make sure there are no effects on the field that can negate this. And I say this to the people that don't play meta. Now, casual players, they'll see you activate an effect and they'll go, haha! I Ash Blossom your Pot of Desires. And good move, well done, fantastic. But you have just wasted your Pot of Desires when they're about to use triple tactics talent anyway. So they're already gonna go up +2. Now, that's absolutely fine. It really doesn't matter if you Ash before or Ashed afterwards. That's not so much a bad play. But if they're gonna react for something like maybe even an effects Veiler, when Phantom Knight's gonna activate its effect to send your guy to the grave so that you can get your rank up anyway, it is completely wasted. If they're going to react in terms of a, let's say it's a counter trap, you're going to have a Solemn Judgment on the summon, simply he's gone. And that really sucks. If your PK is off the field just because your opponent knew you were playing a PK package deck, you're screwed. So you need to have other routes. And that's what I'm trying to get to today. So without further ado, let's begin. So you just pulled the worst hand imaginable. Now this is where we're gonna kind of give you a little reveal of what I've added to my deck, and this is where you guys are gonna judge me down in the comments for my poor life choices. So first up, we're using that contract with the gate. We're gonna add the Armageddon Knight to our hands. We're gonna have a Swirl Slime. We've accidentally pulled one of our magic launches, and that absolutely sucks. But we're gonna utilize it anyway. We're gonna find a way. And we've also pulled our Ragnarok. Now, pulling the magic launch isn't the worst thing in the world. You can still utilize it as long as you can get an Xyz monster on the field, as long as it is dark. And obviously, we're following the theme. We're gonna go for dark Xyz monsters. I'm not gonna go into anything else. So, starting off with, we're gonna get rid of this card. We don't need it for now. Just pretend it doesn't exist. You're gonna want to use Dark Contract with the gate, and you're gonna wanna search for a card, because with these cards alone, you can put up a field, but you're gonna want an extra bit of source. So we're gonna add a Lamia to our hand. From the Lamia, we're gonna Swirl Slime, the Ragnarok, and we're gonna set to our fields Flame King Genghis. Now it's important that you do this first because they already think you're gonna go into PK, because that's the way this deck has been heading recently. Now once you've got Flame King Genghis onto the field, they know you've got a Lamia and Armageddon Knight. You can just go straight for an Armageddon Knight and they're gonna go, ooh, okay, they're sending Necro Slime to deck. But as long as you declare a Copernicus, usually they won't react to it, because they'll go, ooh, you know what, I don't fancy reacting to just the Copernicus. Although they might just react to Armageddon Knight, because Armageddon Knight is sheer power and he is limited to 1 due to the fact of that sending to grave effect. But once you've gone for that, you're gonna Swirl Slime, you're gonna special summon that Lamia, triggering the Flame King Genghis effect, bring Sam Copernicus back, sending a Necro Slime to grave. Now most people here are gonna think you're gonna use these two for a Flame High King Genghis. You're wrong. We're going to instead go for a Time Thief Redoer. Now, it doesn't really matter what card you go for at this point, as long as it's an Xyz and it's a rank 4 and it's a dark. The reason it needs to be a dark is because it gives you the ability later to go into your PK package. However, I suggest straying away from that and taking a different route. You're then going to go, as usual, into your generic summons, going for the fusion, going for Flame High King Genghis, triggering effects, bringing back the Lamia, and Gust King Alexander, going for the Siegfried. Siegfried needs to be summoned here. And the reason being is because if you do want to change the route you're taking, it will allow you to at this point. If you miss this, you cannot change anything else up. You are stuck into the board you have set. You need to make the decision to put it here, and that's on you if you mess up. Once that's happened, it's going to trigger Flame High King Genghis effect, bringing back the Ragnarok from earlier, triggering Ragnarok's effect, special summoning the Gust King Alexander. You can then use Lamia to get rid of the gate, to instantly go into your Clearing Synchro Dragon. You have a Spell or Trap Negate, another Spell or Trap Negate, a monster effect negate, and a target blocker essentially with Time Thief. You can also go for a straight up destroy one of your triple D monsters and banish one of theirs. So you could attack the game in this scenario if you're going second and your opponent hasn't set their board fully. Now, I would recommend either going for that option or going for your triple Ds, getting your Duo King Caliuga out as per usual. Now, either banishing Time Thief Redoer beforehand or then going for your Hope Harbinger. Now, the reason you want to go into Hope Harbinger afterwards because you don't want to get baited out. You don't want your card to be taken away by a Solemn Judgment. It's as simple as that. You're then going to trigger the effect to get your gate back. Gate's going to be set, and then you're also going to set your rank up magic launch. Perfect. So you have a rank 8, a rank 4, and a rank 8. Now there's one more card I'm waiting on that is going to give you the perfect play after this, but it hasn't come in the post yet, so we're still going to have to be waiting on it for a little bit of time. In the meantime, you have 4 banished monsters, so you can still go into your Heart Earth Dragonplate if you want to do so. But then during your opponent's turn, you're simply going to detach a spell, detach a card. It's going to destroy all spells and traps on the field, react with a quick play, go for literally whatever you desire to go for. I would suggest simply going for King of All Calamities. That way you've got a negate, another negate, and you can just go crazy. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody who's been subscribing lately, everyone who's been liking my posts, even the guys that have disliked it. It kind of does help me understand what you guys are actually after. I'm trying to make this more pure DDDs. I am trying to make this more kind of a variant. I hate the idea of using Crystron Halqifibrax, so please stop recommending that one in my socials. But other than that, I absolutely adore you guys, and you guys have been so fantastic in the support recently. If there is any extra things that you want me to do, anything you want me to change, if there is any ideas that you guys have specifically, again, drop me a message in my socials, drop me a message just below in the description if you decide that you want a Discord for us all to talk on. I don't want to be putting pressure on you guys to talk in public, but if it does give you the ability to have a voice in this community, I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Other than that, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.